When it comes to roller coasters, I like to put them into one of three different categories. Are they good, are they bad, or are they weird? Dragon Mountain at Marineland is one of the weird ones. Basically, if the Beast at Kings Island were a steel coaster, this would be it. The ride is very spread out over a huge plot of land. There are a whole lot of straight sections, some helixes, and then the actual elements it has, well, there's 4 inversions spread across through the layout. It's amazing that this ride only has one lift hill because the way that it interacts with the terrain, so many times it just feels like it's sluggish, but then it miraculously just keeps on going. And when you look at the stats with it, it's actually pretty impressive. It has a height of 186 feet, and believe it or not, it does not actually feel 186 feet tall. When I looked up the stats for it, I was shocked that that was the height of this thing. Because what happens is, this ride, the lift hill is built onto a hill. So basically, it just climbs up the hill that entire time, so when you get to the top, you're still like right up against the ground. And that's why the drop on this isn't very big either, because of how it uses this terrain. So much of this coaster doesn't even really need that many supports because it's so low to the ground that the supports aren't very tall. Really, the only times that you have these massive supports are to support the inversions. Now, forgive me if I sound like this, but I don't want to sound like I'm bashing on this ride because I do think that it is so weird that it is almost kind of cool. Like, it's one of those rides that I think everyone should experience at some point just so that you can get off it and say, what the heck was that? Like, it's enjoyable in that matter. And actually, when you approach the ride to begin with, it actually has some pretty decent theming. The entire ride, you enter in a dragon's mouth, and then all of the queue is this like underground cave. The entire station is really dark because of all this rock work, and then the trains almost look like a dragon. It's really kind of neat. And then you exit the station and start going up this lift hill, and it takes forever to get to the top. Oh my gosh. It takes so long that they have to have 2 chain lifts to pull it up to the top of one lift hill. And neither of those chain lifts move very fast. So you get to the top, you're going to take a left, and you're going to go down through 2 consecutive vertical loops. The first 2 inversions are at the front of the ride, and then the second 2 are towards the end. So following that, you're going to go up this massive, like, wide bank turn. I don't even know if I'd say it's banked because it's pretty much just this wide turn. To which you'll then go through a straight section. There is a mid-course brake run right there. You're going to go through this helix that is wrapped around in this, like, rockwork facade. It's kind of weird because some parts of it is not like completely flat as it's going through this helix. Like at some points it has these little dips so that it goes lower and below the rest of the helix. So you exit the helix and then you're going to go through, surprise, surprise, another straight section. And it's at this point in the ride where you're kind of wondering how the ride hasn't lost all of its energy. It's just more straight sections and more just random turns and everything. It's that moment where you're saying, what the heck is this ride even doing? I don't know what the point of it is. As I said earlier, it's amazing that there isn't a second lift hill because there's so many parts of it where it's just sluggish, but then it just keeps on going. I don't even know how it has the stamina to make it through those back inversions, but somehow it does. You go through this like underground tunnel and then you emerge and go into this bow tie inversion. I believe it's the only kind in North America, maybe even the world. So basically think of it as a batwing, but you're entering and exiting on opposite sides. Normally with a batwing, you enter and exit on the same side, facing opposite directions. This time you're facing the same direction on the other side. To which you then go through another straight section, a left-hand turn, and then you hit the brakes. It is bizarre. Now, one thing I do gotta recommend, I would say this is a backseat ride. The front just feels way too sluggish. The back at least has some pull to it, and it kind of feels like it's going a bit faster. I think one of the biggest takeaways for this ride is it did not seem to be in like very good shape. If you watch it go through the course, you can see the wheel bogies shuffling. The entire train like shuffles through the track. And I'm pretty sure a roller coaster isn't supposed to do that. So I don't know what happened there, but I'm pretty sure that's not a good thing. That being said, this is still probably one of my favorite aero loopers I've ridden. There's a lot of aero coasters out there that are just so mediocre. Yeah, they're okay, but this one is a memorable one. It is so bizarre that it leaves you getting off the ride and you're like, I don't know what just happened there. I don't know if I liked it or if I didn't like it, but the point is, you remember it. So, theoretically, if I had to like do a ranking of the top aero looping coasters, this would probably be in the top 5, just because of how strange it is. And I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way, it's just kind of the way the ride is, you know? So for its final score, I'm going to give it a 5. Right in the middle, because I don't know whether I like it or if I don't like it. The ride actually doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just kind of there. So in that regard, this coaster isn't exactly going to give you like your adrenaline fix. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad ride. It's not like rough or anything. Sure, it might be a little jerky here and there. But I think it's just one of those rides you gotta experience. So, that being said, let me know about what you think of Dragon Mountain, if you've ridden it, if you're wanting to ride it, what you think of how the coaster just looks. You can post all those thoughts in the comment section below, and of course stay tuned for more coaster reviews coming soon to Coaster Studios.